Always making fun of me. You're always making fun of my family. Like, I'm sending you guys all Christmas calendars.
Are we live now? Because everybody should hear about Chris's super tale with his
guilt trip. Yeah, guilt trip right away.
I'm sending you guys all Christmas cards or Christmas calendars because you guys can look at me all year long. Like, that's
who else has a calendar of all family pictures? Yeah, this is true. Chris has a calendar in his own house of all his family pictures and everything for every month of the year.
It is cool, though. Can I tell a funny story about what happened yesterday?
Yeah.
Bill was sending us text messages when he was on the throne, like he does every day. And he said, "Look what came in the mail today," and it was a catalog to Pajamagram, right? So I'm like, "That's pretty cool. Order your wife some pajamas for whatever, a nice situation." So then he opens it up, and there's like a family on the inside, and they all had matching pajamas on, like sitting in a circle. And he's like, "Look, Chris's family is in here."
They even look like it. Blonde hair, blue eyes. Funny. Yeah. Just like Chris's Super Race family.
And then I went and got my calendar and took a picture of my calendar.
And I should have been shocked, but I really wasn't. I wasn't shocked at all.
My wife puts so much work into those calendars. Like, she's been busting her ass because she like sends them to everybody in our family, and she like goes throughout the year and takes all of her pictures and makes these calendars. And so
goodness,
I'm gonna send them to everybody.
That was funny. He's like, I'm not surprised. Like,
does Hallmark call you guys and ask you for ideas for their movies?
No. They just pay us royalties, period. Yeah. They don't even talk to us. They're not allowed to communicate with us.
You should send me one of your calendars so I can put it in my crying room.
Yeah. Oh, man.
Anyway, besides all that, though, first off, let's shout out to everybody for showing up tonight. And let's just get this out of the way. We're not going to do any political shit here tonight. So if you are in the chat posting political shit, we're just going to delete you because we've had political stuff crammed down our throats for the last 15 years, and it's getting more and more intense. So this is overtime. We don't talk about politics here.
Where is Clive, Bill? Where is Clive?
I don't know. I sent him a message earlier, but he sent me the double finger emoji.
Adam, has he been sitting in the bottom waiting?
He is. Hold on a second. I have one more order of the business I want to contend to right now. Is that
making Clive? Okay.
Just 1 second. Clive is an awesome dude. I am always blown away by every word he says. I'm hanging on the seat of my chair. But I just want to
hanging on the seat of my.
All right, listen, guys. This is I want to be serious for one moment. I know it's not, and usually when I say let's be serious for a moment, it's like leading up to some bullshit where we are not
But
serious.
it's not this time.
Yeah, but this time we're serious.
This time I'm really being serious right now, dead serious. So I read on Facebook that one of our first viewers ever, she's been with us since day number 1. Her mom died of COVID last night. And that like hurt, you know what I mean? It kind of hit me because I didn't know anyone. I've known a couple of people that have COVID. I never knew anyone that had somebody in their family die from COVID. This is like a first, you know, and it's starting to actually hit home a little bit, you know? So
Yeah.
I think, you know, we just want to express our sympathies towards, you know, Susie.
Yeah. Sorry, Susie.
And that is it.
Yeah. Anyways, let's get this party going.
All right. On that note, we're not serious anymore.
Yeah.
Nope.
There he is. We need a good intro for
Yeah, we structured that for about 4 seconds and then went completely off the rails. We're like, let's do this and let's do that. And they're like, fart noise. We're not doing nothing.
That's pretty typical of us, you know?
Yeah.
No structure, no organization, just kind of,
I'm glad we put it out there though, for sure.
you know.
So what do we got? What do we got to talk about tonight, guys? Besides, wait! I almost forgot about my jelly bellies.
Jelly babies.
Jelly babies. That's right.
Oh.
Jelly babies
Where you got-
Where are these from? These are from Clive's native land of the UK or something like that. I think.
I still, my
Yeah.
mind is blown still, Clive, even though you've explained it to me and I've watched your stream so many times when you can reach on top of that cabinet because the optical illusion makes it seem so far
Yeah.
away.
There's your little jelly babies. They're
Now,
like
what are
covered-
they?
They're some sort of jelly candy. They're covered in a white powder. I'm assuming is sugar.
It's
Either
cornflour.
sugar or dandruff.
Cornflour and sugar, I think.
Sugar dang.
I got a yellow one.
So are they like sour or?
No, they're
The
quite
first time I
mild.
had them.
Hey, Bill, can you put one in an envelope and send it to me?
After I chew on it.
They're very popular in the UK because you can bite their heads off. Mm.
They're not bad. They're like it's not like an American kind of gummy that you'd expect. It's
Soft.
yeah, it's much softer than the
Flaky.
American gummies.
It's like a jube soft.
So it's not like
No,
it's not like a
no.
gummy bear.
No,
Softer.
it's like a.
Those are good,
What's
man.
the best way to describe this?
Jeff is saying cocaine. Okay.
Man, I do
Easy
feel like
to-
burst of energy. Who wants to go jogging?
Oh,
I think the police
okay.
are watching me right now.
They're laced and he broke all like tariff rules or whatever and shipping those across the pond. They're laced in Coke.
But did you say you got 3 packets for $8 or something like that?
Yeah, from Amazon.
That's not bad.
Oh, wow.
That's not
No.
bad. I mean, it's
They're
a
good sized
standard
bags, too.
section here. Even with exchange rate, they're £1 here for a bag in good shops.
Yeah, right off
That's
the
not-
old Bezos website.
That's
Anyway,
Feeding the machine, Bill. You're feeding the machine, man.
I don't care. He's gonna get my money because he sells good quality products.
And they-
Same here. I don't know about quality, but it's convenient.
It just
Yeah,
shows up
damn
so,
convenient.
so fast to your house. It's like boom, it's here.
You notice how I don't know if you guys have been paying attention how Amazon's prices have been going up, slowly going up. They're no longer the cheapest anymore. They're just the most convenient.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep. It's good business plan. I mean, you start out the cheapest, you put everybody out of business, then you start raising your prices.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Pretty smart.
But anyway, why are we here tonight, guys? What are we talking
what the
about?
heck- yeah, what have you guys been up to? I guess we'll talk about some air cleaners for sure.
Little guns that shoot rainbow hearts.
Yeah.
What we're here
It's
talking
been-
about?
Crazy week for me today, dude. I get into something real quick. I had one of my guys, life happens, whatever. I don't know the situation and stuff, but we had a scheduled job this morning. We had to wake up super early, so I left my house at 4:45, got to the job at 6:45. Took me 2 hours in stupid traffic. And about 6:30, we called just to check on the guys that were coming to the job site with us, and we were informed that traffic was too bad, so one of my techs just went back home. Like,
Okay.
Fire
just
him.
just
Fire
decided
him.
he wasn't gonna oh yeah,
Nice.
traffic was really bad. I'm gonna
Kinda
go
like
home and I'm not gonna call you and tell you.
Sick day, but like a traffic day.
Yeah. What the
That blows. Some of the stuff I've been hearing lately, it blows my mind, like from Chris and from other various people in the industry. Like some of the stuff that techs do, from a managerial standpoint, you're looking at these techs and it's nuts. Some of these stories I hear, like I want to share so many of them, but I can't for legal reasons.
What I'm dealing with today is 2 helpers that walk very slow when I tell them to go get something. Honestly, I'm not being a what's it called? A slave.
You're not being a Chris?
Well, no, I think we all have the same mentality, but like you go tell him to get something and I'm going to get something else and I'm catching up to him. Like,
oh, I totally get that. Like you ask him to go get something and you can make it to your van faster and get what you needed and what you told him to get after. And then he's still walking like,
yeah.
Oh
man.
Anyways. That's what I used to be like as an apprentice, by the way. I just thought I'd mention that.
Did you?
Yeah.
And I used to come back to the tradesman and then just stand behind him with the item, but not actually say anything really quietly.
You're a sneaky guy.
I have mastered the art of doing that to my wife and my daughter. Like I can walk because I walk really fast too. So the other day I walked into the garage and then I came out of the garage and went into the bedroom and my wife walked into the bedroom and then she got the shit scared out of her when she came around the corner. She's like, I thought you were in the garage. And I'm like, no, that was a couple minutes ago. Like I'm quiet when I walk.
Ninja.
Mm-hmm.
That's what she calls me, ninja.
Nobody called you that, Chris. Let's not beat around the bush.
Once your helpers are more sort of seasoned tradesmen, Joe, they'll be faster. They've not gone into full on trade mode yet. Where
You're right.
Go hyperactive and you run
and that's why
speed.
And that's why I say to myself, okay, I guess it's still early. All right.
Yeah.
Okay. I mentioned something. I just say something like a little snarky comment with a smile on.
It is a little bit off-putting when you get somebody new that you're starting from the very beginning, right?
Yeah.
And you're like, you forget how difficult it is.
Yeah, you forget what it's like to be new.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
It's like when you go into Subway, right, and you order a sandwich and the person that's making it is new, and it's just like, oh, just put the salad on it.
They like wrap it in the meat instead of putting the meat inside.
Yeah,
like 5 minutes trying to peel the cheese apart.
Portion control. Don't get over. Yeah.
So we're going to get to the whole air cleaners thing. And
we're diving right into this.
I have been having a hard time with this. This damn sticker is bothering the hell out of me.
Lick it.
Let's start off with a bang.
Put
your pecker in it.
This sticker has been bugging the heck out of me. Caution, high voltage, do not touch. It's like a little kid in me just says, touch it. Touch it. Mm-hmm. Touch it. I can remember when I was young. When I was a kid, it is plugged in. I remember when I was a kid, and I'll prove it here in a minute. But when I was a little kid, I remember being on a job with my dad because I grew up working for my dad. And now I can picture myself, but it was a low voltage system. And for some reason,
I heard this story. Your dad
he told me to hold the R wire.
He said, don't touch anything with it. And you're like,
yeah. And right when he walked downstairs, I decided, why not touch anything? And so I grounded it out. Like, again, you tell me not to do something. I'm curious as to why. I want to know what's going to happen.
Stick your pecker in it.
Yep. Pretty much. All right, I gotta take my headphones off so I don't short out my computer gear.
Let's go live. Chris is gonna
remember and touch both at once. Bridge them with your fingers. Touch both at once.
That's a good idea.
Say what?
Bridge both of them with your fingers.
I don't know about both of them.
Touch one first, and then bring them
make
up
sure your
slowly.
fingers are moist.
Yeah, so then I can watch it go tap 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 through my fingers.
Yeah.
I want to put a disclaimer in.
I'm real happy right now because I told Chris I'd do it with him at the same time. But
yeah, what are you waiting for? Let's go. Put it on.
Right, hold on.
I want to see it. I want to see it. Don't be saying all this. I want to see it.
By the way, do not try this at home.
Yes.
Yeah, don't do that.
They are trained professionals.
Disclaimer:
the green light is on, and
we didn't even explain what these are yet.
Yeah, explain.
Well, if anybody watched my video, most of the people here have been watching my video. You can actually.
What happens if they did it?
This is a bipolar ionizer. Let's see if I can get the airflow right.
It's an iWave C.
This is crazy, guys. Look at this.
Watch it. Oh, it got me.
It has to be between the two of them, but sideways, so the airflow across them.
Yeah, there we go. There we go. It's kicking now.
Sweet spot.
That is a good airflow. That is an ionic airflow.
Let's see if I can reverse it. Hold on. Yep, it's reversed.
Airflow.
There we go. That's good.
Bonkers to me. I don't even understand what's happening right now.
125 feet per minute.
It's like you're a wizard.
140, 160 feet per minute, 181. That's kicking. So that's just a little ion thing happening there. So this is a bipolar ionizer that I've been installing a bunch of these and taking them out. I just did a video today, like installing them and then dissecting one. I've got all the components right here, and I'm just really curious about how they work. Clive's been commenting a little bit on a Facebook post that I did.
If you were curious on how they work, you would not have dissected it. You would have sent one to Clive to have him dissect it, because then you would have really found out how they worked.
Well, here's the snag. It's all potted in resin, so I'd have to totally depot that. But I would.
Well, I can send you a functioning one, and then I can send you this power supply.
You could just send me the module that you're holding there,
Cool.
or the whole thing. But it just depends how much postage you're willing to pay shipping to the island.
We'll talk about it. We'll figure it out. But
okay,
I'm really curious about this. So let's see how this goes.
He's gonna touch it.
Make sure you put the camera on him, Adam, or you. I don't know, both of you guys.
Can we go full size here?
Fingers are wet.
Yeah, that's also weird, but
Nothing.
Touch both. You gotta touch both of them. Touch both of them at the same time.
yeah.
Oh no!
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah!
What do you feel? Can you see the future?
Hold them down. 5 seconds.
Yeah, can you see the future?
It's absolutely nothing.
Nothing.
I don't want to do it with the headphones on because I can hear the feedback in my headphones when I do this.
Do it longer. Hold it. Lick your fingers.
Sit on it.
Laska said
And
to
spin
give you
around.
$20 if you lick it. But don't do that.
See, he's doing it behind the microphone. You know why? He's
Because he's not doing it. He's faking it.
Oh, check this out. Wait, you can actually see it. Hold on.
Oh, that's awesome. Okay, you got to turn the lights off for this one. Right, Clive? Weren't you saying something about this, Clive? If you turn the lights off, I forgot what you're talking about. Anyway.
You can see the purple glow of the ozone.
You got to turn off your monitor, Chris. Oh, there you go.
Spotlight, Adam.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, you
Oh,
can
sorry.
Spotlight, Adam.
Sorry.
God, you can't see it. Damn
Yeah,
it.
you can.
Actually,
I
look
said-
close.
Do
You
it
could.
again. Do it
You
again.
could.
Hold on, let's try again.
You can see it.
He's shaking.
Oh, that's awesome. Cool.
That's a decent amount of output then.
Wow.
Clive is like, nah, that's nothing. No, that's awesome. That's awesome.
Damn it. I thought it was going to be like a shock. Maybe it's because I'm not ground. I don't know. Oh.
If you had, say, thinner skin, if you weren't
Wet
blue
finger,
collar,
maybe.
so to speak, you'd have felt it. And then, but when you've got hard skin, then it kind of stops that effect happening.
Dissipates it.
I probably shouldn't have done that. This is the HVAC Overtime channel. This has no affiliation with me, and that doesn't.
What?
Someone's going to do this and get hurt.
Chris wants
Yeah.
It's all
people.
good.
lick
Hope
them.
Sportland's watching.
Well, just
Clive was like,
as long as they make a video while they're doing it.
Yeah. Are you drinking
So-
that carbonated wine there, Clive?
I am drinking carbonated wine.
That's awesome.
Hey, real quick,
Oh.
since a lot of people may not be familiar with these at all, I give a quick rundown of what these things
Thanks, Bill.
supposedly do. According to iWave, their website, when air passes over the iWave I can't read. I'm illiterate. When air passes over the iWave, ions produced by the device reduce pathogens, allergens, and particles. So we're going to get into this a little bit later because one of the things that they tout is it kills COVID. So it uses these needlepoint bipolar ionization things, which Chris was just touching, and that's what actually creates the positive negative ions. But apparently what happens, according to their website, when these ions are injected into the airstream, they break down passing pollutants and gases into harmless compounds like oxygen, carbon dioxide, nitrogen, and water vapor. When the ions come in contact with viruses, bacteria, or mold, they remove the hydrogen molecules. They then will have no energy and they die. Ions also attach to allergens like pollen and other particles, causing them to bond together. This is the one that I see a lot and a lot of other websites that I researched. So the ions will bond with these other particles, make them bigger, and they can cling to the filters or even walls and stuff. Like one of the things they referenced was if you ever move a picture or an old lamp off your wall and you notice like a silhouette,
Right.
they said that's like an ionization effect.
That is electrostatic precipitation. That's how the old ionizers worked, was the clumping of dust and precipitate out to the walls.
Yeah, see, that's what they claim on that these do as well.
I'm not so sure about that because
no,
it is
if
putting
you-
out positive and negative ions. At the
Yeah,
same
if
time.
you read, I was reading like one of their white papers or something. If you actually go to GPS Global Plasma Solutions, which is the company that makes this, they have a little more information. They have some case studies and different things like that. Again, all this stuff is such big words. I don't understand it. Clive, I'm sure you probably understand it more than me, but it's just kind of like, okay, it sounds real. But there's something about the bipolar, the positive and negative ions, that they're saying it's not going to be as harmful or negative pun intended, but you're not going to have as many downsides supposedly to this versus just a negative ionizer.
The ionizer puts a charge into there. It makes all the dirt precipitate out to the walls. So there is a downside to that. But all those units are based on Sharp's original plasma cluster units. And they claim that it creates it splits the water and air at the negative and positive electrodes into oxygen and hydrogen, which then gets surrounded by water molecules, which then transport, as soon as they combine onto the organic matter, it gets rid of those extra hydrogen and oxygen atoms, or pulls a hydrogen atom out, and it creates water as a byproduct. And you look at it and you think, what a load of crap. When you read it, like the way they're presenting it, I don't know if it's a real effect or they're dumbing it down for the general populace to make it sound nice and harmless by only producing water and killing all the bad things. But I'm not really sure.
So, Clive, we were looking at selling Lennox. It's a HVAC manufacturer, residential, a couple years back, and we took a class, and they have an electronic air cleaner that has. I've never installed one. We didn't go follow through with it, but they said this electronic air cleaner, the byproduct of it is water. It's like it's cleaning your air, and the byproduct is water. And I'm like, I'm not familiar. I don't know if anyone in the chat is, but it sounds like the same, very, very similar to what you're talking about.
Yeah, it does. I wonder if they're all being cryptic because they don't want to get sued by Sharp, who kind of have the dominant market in that.
Patent on it or something.
Yeah. So do you want to see what's inside this?
Yeah,
yes, please.
Absolutely.
Okay, so this is quite an expensive Japanese unit, and it's got air direct control, which basically involves these things just being able to be clipped on either way around, right?
Mm-hmm.
And inside, it's just a really powerful fan. And if I pull both these air vents out, and then this one's got one edge over your unit for ongoing money. If you then unscrew these, because this is an older style unit, and you slide the cover off, it reveals the air channel, and it reveals a replaceable module. So their thing is that they get to sell you these modules at a fairly high expense, and you can actually see the dirt in this, the electrostatic sort of blackening, and also the little needles in these are like really cruddy at the end. But the idea is that after a certain amount of time, it will shut down, it will start flashing an indicator. Then you have to go and buy one of these modules at quite a high expense, and then you plug it in, and it starts again. But all this unit is, it's a big fan in the base with a filter on either side that's blowing air through the unit, and then it's this, and it has each of these little blocks contains, it depends on the size of the unit you get. This one contains 4 separate modules, and it's got the positive end and the negative end, and all it is inside, it's a sharp needle behind a little metal ring. I took one of these completely apart in a video. If you just search my videos for Japanese air, you'll find it.
Okay.
This is doing pretty much what your unit is, but a much lower level. Those carbon fiber things, it's kind of showing the age. This is based in sharp needles. And if you look at the original ionizers, all the ionizers had was the front of them just had little needles sticking out the front. And the idea is that if you put a very high negative voltage on, or a high voltage altogether, on sharp points, the area of charge, the level of charge is greatest at sharp points. So it actually imparts electrons into the air, because electrons actually flow from negative to positive. So by putting a high negative voltage, it adds electrons, and it gives the air an extra charge, an extra negative charge. And that's the cleaning effect, because it will attach onto stuff. It will charge everything, including the dust, and then it gradually precipitates out towards the positive surfaces, which are basically everything referenced to ground. And that includes your walls and your ceiling and your floor. And if you use one of these little units, they only draw a fraction of a watt. It's virtually unmeasurable.
Now, what I don't understand, Clive, then is how is that like when Chris was showing us, it was actually moving the fan. I don't understand how it's actually moving like air.
It's the effect when the air gets charged by the negative high voltage on this and it gets extra electrons added. It then takes the same charge, it's negative, just like the needles, and it gets repelled like charges repel. So as the air gets charged, it gets repelled away from the needles. And do you remember a unit called the Sharper Image Ionic Breeze? Was it called?
That's the one they got sued for, right?
That's the one that produced shit tons of ozone in the process, yes.
With like killing the birds and crap.
Oh, wow.
I'm not sure about killing birds.
Wasn't they killing their pets? Like the pet birds and stuff were dying, weren't they? In the house? Because that's one of the things about the ozone is you can't have them with like pet birds in your house.
Oh, right, okay. But did you ever see one of those units? And you could feel the breeze flowing out the front. It said absolutely no moving parts. It used a sort of laser printer corona wire behind metal plates. And the corona wire was charged negatively, the plates were charged positively, and it created this strong breeze, but it also created a really fresh smell, and it was the ozone that was creating that smell. But it was putting it.
Sorry to cut you off. I was just going to relate to that topic. Someone in the chat was asking if ozone can wreck HVAC equipment or the motherboards on equipment.
At high levels, yes. Pretty much the rule of thumb with ozone is that if you can smell ozone in a room, then there's too much. Sure. But ozone occurs naturally at ambient level outdoors. If anything, it's possible that modern buildings don't have enough ozone in it because if you matched the outdoor levels, the natural levels of about 0.04 parts per million, because ozone is this thing. Ozone is a molecule of oxygen, but it's normally oxygen is composed of two atoms of oxygen bonded together. They link together naturally. That's its stable state. When you break it apart, and that's happening in these units, see those little sparks that Chris was drawing to his fingers? Yeah. That was a more visual effect of the sparking in the corona. Those sparks actually split oxygen apart into separate atoms, and they sometimes recombine as an unstable form called ozone, which is O3, which is just 3 atoms. And it really wants rid of that extra atom of oxygen. So if it touches something like, well, a bit of copper in the case of electronic equipment, that spare oxygen atom will bond onto that and it will effectively oxidize it. So the mechanism of ozone, it's quite destructive. It's basically like gaseous bleach. But in nature, it seems to be an important part of maintaining the quality of air outside.
So go ahead.
No, go ahead, Chris.
I didn't mean to cut you off, Clive. You want to finish?
No, but
I want to finish.
It does make me wonder if part of the effect of these is the fact that they produce very small trace levels of ozone, and they claim they don't. Because ozone is a very controversial gas. Because right. There are all these people saying, "Don't breathe ozone, everybody will die." Sort of think that.
Sorry, go ahead.
We can't not cut anybody off.
We all have so many.
See, this is why it's so hard for us to have guests, because it's really easy for us to just cut each other off and just screw off, shut up. It's like we're trying to be polite.
I know, you're right.
We're gonna have to start raising our hands.
Yeah, I know. I want them to just put their hand top their head when they want to speak.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, I was first, so I get to talk next.
Okay.
Yeah. But yeah, so those units, absolutely. See if you put that unit on your table and you put a bucket over the top of it and leave it for 5 minutes and then lift the bucket up and sniff. I bet you smell ozone. I might be wrong.
I could smell, if I go up to my face, I could smell ozone right now.
I need you to warm up me, dude. Stick your tongue to it.
Thanks, Dave.
Yeah, lick it. Do it.
Take your headphones off.
Do it. Come on, stop being a pansy.
Take your headphones off.
Keep your headphones on. Let's see if it knocks your computer out.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, that'd be awesome.
The whole stream goes off.
All right, I forgot about that, but he's running.
So here's my thing. Okay, I'm a knuckle buster. I'm not the smartest cookie in the bundle, right?
Come on.
I don't understand why we have to have these devices producing whatever they produce, ozone, whatever it may be. Okay. When what we're trying to do is recreate what is naturally outside. So my thing is why not bring in fresh air, filter fresh air, clean our coils, and breathe fresh outside air?
That works because you're effective bringing in trace ozone if you actually bring that in. I didn't put my hand in my head, did I? Sorry.
No, it didn't work. Didn't work.
You're exempted.
You're exempt. No, I was actually going to jump in and say one of the things I found in my research was a lot of people saying that very same thing, Chris, is fresh air exchange is a much better way of trying to get rid of contaminants. Like if you're trying to battle COVID inside of a restaurant, they say you're much better off trying to just get 6 air exchanges per hour and just manage it that way rather than try to have all these ionizers in there, because then you're fighting your fresh air returns, your makeup airs, your exhaust, people opening the door, dirty, stinky people coming in, because also that ionizer doesn't do anything for surfaces. It doesn't really do anything for surfaces. It doesn't suck moisture out of the air. And
technically speaking, ozone if these hydroxyl radicals do what they're supposed to do, it will bond onto impurities on surfaces and it will actually kill them in situ or damage them in situ.
Is that like is it about like kind of the same thing as what do they call it? The PCO filter? Photocatalytic something.
It's very similar. Now, the photocatalytic uses ultraviolet radiation on titanium dioxide, and it is also supposed to create free hydroxyl radicals. But these hydroxyl radicals, you're believing they exist, so to speak. They're not visible. So
how do we prove that this is working?
You got to lick it.
I'm not. No, that's you, dude. I already touched it. I took a gamble.
I touched it.
Put your nipple on it.
You got to take your headphones off and lick it, dude. You know it's going to shock the shit out of you if you lick it.
It's not going to do nothing.
Yeah, it is.
His fingers were wet too.
My fingers aren't wet. I was sweating. I was afraid, but it didn't even do anything.
I don't know about you guys, but when I was a kid, I think maybe this was a touch on the HVAC brain when I was a little kid, but we had a electronic air. It was a Canadian brand, I believe, at the time, and it was electronic, air filter. And I always thought that thing was so cool.
Was it near your room?
No, it was on the furnace, obviously. And then you got to give to Honeywell because they made them as well. Those Honeywell, you see them everywhere still. And people are just replacing filters in them. Those, I don't know, F50s or 300s. I don't know if you guys, Adam, if you know them.
Did you just used to stare at it and stuff?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I used to glance at it.
Those actually,
wow.
if you
is that why you're not a doctor and your brother is?
Good one. I lead it up to that.
Come on, dude. You gotta.
That's okay. It's okay. I'll give you that one.
The Honeywell, like the F300, they're actually super efficient. They're very good at pulling dirt out of the air. The electrostatic air cleaners, but they lose their efficiency. They drop off almost like to nothing.
That's why everybody stopped using.
If you don't clean them every 30 days or less, right?
And you know what, Adam? Those things, I believe, were producing a small amount of ozone, and that was a long. Yeah, there you go. And that was a long time ago, dude. So you got to give it to Honeywell for that.
I have a prediction. I have a prediction that in the midst of all this craziness we're going through right now, I have a feeling that as they build new restaurants, when they choose to build new restaurants or libraries or gathering places, that they're going to be bringing a lot more fresh air into these buildings. I have a feeling that
changes,
these things, maybe the lobbyists for these companies are really going to try to push these things, but I have a feeling that the permanent solution is going to be 100% outside air units, cooling the outside air. We're going to go oversized, solar, that kind of crap, and then they're going to be bringing in more fresh air.
Yep. But what about cold areas where you don't really want too much air coming in because it's ice cold outside and you're trying to keep heat up inside?
Good point.
You heat it up before you bring it in. We have tempered makeup airs here.
But I mean, well, in order to do a tempered makeup for a building, I do still agree that we're going to be bringing more outside air, but it's going to be, I mean, you're going to have mega units on the roof to warm up the building for people to sit, But you think UV, Clive?
UV, they're actually selling for catering and food environments in the UK. They're selling units that have combined UV and ozone plates in them. And during the day, they've got the ultraviolet lamp is generating trace levels of ozone, and it's sized to the building size. If it's sized to the room volume and the airflow. So this unit puts out trace levels of ozone, and it's supposed to prevent contamination as such. It actually increases shelf life of food, they claim. But at nighttime, when there's nobody there, these units then switch to ozone mode, and they actually put a higher level of ozone out into the actual room to keep it sterile and sterilize all the surfaces. And ozone absolutely does. It's that active oxygen. It kills everything.
Yeah, it's funny you say that. Even Martin Hood in chat was saying something like that, Clive. I can see that happening as well as what Chris is saying, more air changes for sure.
And, you know,
good idea.
One of the things I was looking at with the iWaves is they claim in 30 minutes of operation, you know, that it's killing the coronavirus to like 99.9% or whatever. So I looked into the, I dug up the little testing thing that they have where it explains how they did their test. And those numbers are based on them doing this test in the sealed fuselage of an airplane for 30 minutes, which is obviously much different than a restaurant where you have exhausts and makeup air and dirty, stinky people opening the door all the time.
Random airflow.
Yeah.
You have little kids coming in sneezing. You have people really, you know, bringing in contaminants. You know, in an airplane, you have a controlled access. You have one to two places where they're coming into the plane to board it.
Well,
sealed tight.
It's sealed. Yeah, it's sealed.
Yeah.
Like, so obviously, like, yeah, that would make sense. But it's almost, I feel like it's sold under false pretenses.
Well, the thing is that for most of us, okay, I assume Clive has a better understanding than the four of us, but for most of us, I guess it works. They got big words on the white paper. Like, I don't know.
Keep in mind that they paid for this research to be done, so the research probably came back favorably to them.
Yeah.
So on Facebook, I was having a conversation with Nate Adams. He runs HVAC 2.0 and Electrify Everything. Okay.
And then Nate, the house whisperer too, right?
Does he? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Nate, the house whisperer is his Facebook persona.
Anyway, very good. You know, building science and all that. This dude, like, he gets it, right? And like we were having a discussion. I posted a picture of a HEPA bypass filter with a PCO filter, all that, and he was saying he's skeptical on doing, you know, adding anything to an HVAC system that changes the chemistry of the air in a house.
That's true. Again, we're bringing in things that are naturally occurring outside. So why not just bring in outside air and filter it?
Right.
Through a normal MERV 10 filter, you know, or I mean, if you have a brand new house, you can design it to have HEPA filters cleaning the air in or something. But I mean, if you have an existing house, you can't put fancy filters on it because you're not going to get airflow through it. But I mean, if you filter the outside air to grab large particulate contaminants, larger, right? You're not going to catch microscopic in it. And then you just do multiple air exchanges. Don't you think that
we're coming to the heat aspect again, because in places like this, it's just getting into winter here. And the last thing you really want is bring in continuous airflow.
Totally makes sense. Yeah.
Because that's going to cost a fortune to compensate for unless they have to dress in padded jumpers.
Yeah.
So that's tricky. But
so that's the dilemma.
But I don't see a problem with creating ozone indoors. I'm kind of pro-ozone, but at a very low level, because as soon as you go above a certain threshold, it's going to cause you eye discomfort. You're going to end up with tired eyes. You're going to end up with a sore throat. You just have to balance it. And I've got another gadget here.
What is the level?
How do you measure it?
0.04 parts per million.
How would you measure it? How would you know it's a little level?
Oh, here's the tricky thing. I have some meters here that measure indoor air quality, and both of them do go down to 0.04 parts per million, but even to the point that I can get a slight hint of ozone, which is already the point there's too much, they're not displaying anything. It's really hard to measure that level accurately.
Oh, I can smell it. I never smelt it, but yeah, I can totally smell it.
Smell it.
Normal countries or cities, they produce what, maybe double that, maybe 0.1 or something.
They claim that ozone is a pollutant. Now, it's interesting to note. See, when COVID hit in the UK, air pollution went down, but ozone went up. There's a possibility that the ozone was ambient ozone, and it was normally actually being destroyed by the air pollution because it was attaching onto it. It was doing its job of actually oxidizing the pollution and neutralizing it. But when COVID happened and all the vehicles, I mean, the roads were deserted. It was like, I don't know if you guys did the same thing. When COVID kicked off and Britain shut down, it was like amazing summer. We had one of the hottest summers in history to the point that we thought it was going to be a drought.
Yeah.
And it makes me wonder if the ozone went up because there was nothing for it to feed on, so to speak, to actually get rid of it. So I'm not sure. But it is a naturally occurring thing. Even if you go into the Amazon rainforest, you'll find ozone.
And I will say, though, that here in the States, and, you know, if we're producing any ozone, what you're going to get is you're going to get all no, I'm not even going to go there, but you're going to get all the moms that are going to sue the hell out of everybody because you're producing anything. So we are so conscious. I mean, I live in the state of California within the states, and it's a running joke, but everybody knows that everything in the state of California causes cancer. We even have to put stupid labels on every single half-inch copper coupling that you buy has to have a damn cancer-causing label on it just to satisfy lawsuit requirements. So it's going to be hard to push devices that potentially produce harmful chemicals.
That's why you have to say that it's completely safe and it doesn't produce any ozone, and just omit to say above ambient levels.
But
good point. Yeah.
I heard the human body itself, though, it's so amazing and unique. We could detect like the smell of ozone, like very, very, like, I don't know,
minute.
Very minute.
I mean, ozone in like high levels, you can tell, and it's like discomforting when you like. So there's devices called I think I'm trying to remember the name of the company, but they're called ozonators, and they would use them in restaurants, right, where there was smoking sections because it would like kill the smell of the smoke and everything. Well, my dad bought a couple of those, and he would like turn it on at his house, and he would crank it up, and I'd walk in and be like, "Oh my god, I got burning! I gotta go outside."
Ozonators.
Yeah.
The name ozone actually means smell. That's what it's derived from, because it has such a strong smell.
Interesting.
What was that stuff that transformed the Ninja Turtles again?
Oh, that green slime.
Ooze, that's what it was.
It was the
ozone
from the sewer.
Zone.
Yeah, from the sewer.
Just a quick
now, did
there.
Shredder have something to do with the Ninja Turtles, or being made, or was he just he was created too from the ooze?
No, he wasn't created from the ooze.
He was
at
just
all.
a bad guy.
Yeah, he's just a bad
I'm trying
dude.
to remember my Ninja Turtles stuff. So
And it depends which version you watch.
Yeah.
I don't know anything about the Ninja Turtles because I'm very young.
Oh, Ninja Turtles.
You don't know the Ninja Turtles?
You're lying.
I don't honestly.
You
know
didn't
anything.
have Ninja Turtles? Ninja Turtles were like a cartoon in the mid 90s.
See, people don't know this, but Clive is only 26. He looks that way because he's been exposed to so much ozone over the years.
True story.
That's the ozone bit.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, it's gone white.
I don't know about you, especially in residential houses, Adam. You go up to a house, they have those honeywells. Then what they did too, because like you said, they were depleting some ozone or whatever, producing ozone. They used to put carbonated filters after downstream of that to get rid of the smell. So you had all this filter.
Yeah.
Now, I can see a purpose for these, right? I can see like industrial air cleaners being introduced, and maybe I'm wrong, but do these produce VOCs? Is ozone a VOC? No. Okay. No. So what about coming in with like industrial air cleaners like these, right? Ionizers, whatever they are, and going through new construction, removing all the VOCs from the drywall, from the glues, from all that
isn't
crap.
There's like off gassing that happens over time with that.
For years.
Yeah. So if you did like super sweeps of a brand new house or of a brand new car, because that awesome new car smell that we love is really all the glues and the VOCs.
Yeah.
Love
so
it.
like, what about doing those, cleaning out a house? But I just don't know. I don't know. I'm kind of torn. I put one of these in my house, but I'm kind of questionable on whether or not I feel comfortable with it. Like,
do you not feel exhilarated?
No, I don't. I've had it in my house for about 4 days, and I don't know anything.
I'm pretty sure the advertising said you'd feel exhilarated.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure it did. I'm pretty sure it said that it would clean the air.
I have to tell you one thing. So I've been smoking a cigar out here, and this is the longest I've smoked a cigar without my wife coming out and screaming at me for smoking a cigar. So
your wife doesn't scream at you, Adam.
no.
It used to be a major thing for ionizers to demonstrate them. They'd get an ionizer like this, and they'd put it in a plastic box, and they'd blow smoke into it, and it immediately just clears because it charges the smoke. The smoke precipitates out to the walls. You can't see it actually going onto the walls of the box. All you see is that 2 plastic boxes, one with an ionizer, one without. The one without the ionizer is still full of smoke. The one with the ionizer is completely crystal clear.
Adam, you got a fish tank handy? Flip it over and put it on top of that.
I'm gonna do an experiment. Again, I have enough of these that I'm gonna do an experiment, but still, that's highly concentrated, right? Because this particular air cleaner device is meant to be installed in an air conditioner that moves 2,400 CFMs of air across it. So, of course, if you put a pickle jar over this, it's going to be highly concentrated. So, I mean, what's this really doing in my 1,700 square foot house? Is it really cleaning the air?
That's what I say, Chris.
Right now, lots of action will be very close to. It'll literally be in the path of where it's actually creating that little electron draft.
Wait, what are you saying?
All the action at the moment, because there's no airflow, will just be. See how you had your little anemometer?
Yeah, it's only going to be right around here because that's the little flow that's across it. Yeah. So the tiny, minute amount of ozone, as I'm standing here breathing it, might even be harmful because it's such a small amount, but it's concentrated.
I think
if you can smell the ozone, it's considered that it is at a level that you don't really want to breathe it too long.
Yeah, it smells like bleach. It smells like
bleachy. Yep.
Yeah, that's what it smells like.
I had a question. So, if those things put out the negative and positively charged ions, wouldn't they just like attract to each other? Kind of like people do at Chris's pineapple parties.
That's why it's getting the huge
analogy.
And if you can imagine the pineapple in the middle, that is what's happening.
I'm the awkward person standing in the middle of this party of swingers that wants to do stuff, and I'm like, what do I do? I'm lost. I don't know what to do.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So I might have missed it, Chris. Maybe. How much power is going to those ones you're installing? What kind of power?
Well. Okay, so I don't think that matters, but I've got 120 hooked to this one. The ones that I installed in my restaurants, most of them were hooked to 240, and like 1 or 2 was hooked to 24. And I do want to address something too. And I told people that I would address some things that I invited to this. So when I installed them, the manufacturer's rep of this particular from GPS, one of the reps actually reached out to me and said, hey, you installed it wrong. You should have hooked it to the fan wire on the thermostat. Now, I know we're kind of getting away from our general talk, but no, I didn't do it wrong because think about it. If I hooked it to the thermostat, and I'm going to ask you guys in here, Adam, I already kind of told you this, but I'm going to quiz, see if you guys can pick up on this. If I hooked to the G wire coming from the thermostat and the common wire coming from the thermostat to power this guy up, it would be powered when you had a call for fan. Yes.
Sure.
What happens when you have a call for heat? It's theoretically not going to get powered depending on the way your system's set up because your thermostat doesn't turn the fan on.
Are these all units that have VFDs or the old school?
It depends. I mean, everyone's different. So because the person from the manufacturer that reached out to me, it's not necessarily right to hook it up to the fan every time. You have to evaluate it.
Right.
But if you do hook it up hot all the time, then don't you have to
you can hook it up hot
to be continuous though? You'd have to have the blower on all the time, wouldn't you?
Yes, what I hooked it up to was hooked it up to the load side of the indoor blower motor contactor, the load side of high voltage. So whenever the contactor pulls in, the air cleaner turns on.
Powered.
Yeah. I wonder how it deals with its self-cleaning function because it's got that little wiper that goes over the carbon bristles.
Yeah.
Oh, is that what that is?
Yeah.
If it's being cycled on and off, then does it store that in memory that it's been cycled on and off?
Yeah, probably. It probably does store its memory. But they tell you that they want you to hook it to the fan call, which means that depending on how your system's set up, they anticipated that, because most systems, the fan is only going to run depending on where you're at when you have a call for heating or cooling.
But if you watch the iWave videos, none of them hook it up to the fan. They hook it directly up to 24 volt power or 120 volt power.
Yeah, but if you read the instructions, it says to hook it to the fan.
Oh, okay.
And the manufacturer's again, it doesn't matter. It's all the same.
It kind of makes sense that cooking it to the fan means it's only effectively running when the fan's running.
Yeah. So, but if you hook it to the G wire on the thermostat, most conventional forced air gas furnaces the thermostat is not going to control the fan, and the heater logic board is going to take over and control the fan. It's going to ignore the thermostat.
You think you'd want it continuously running to continuously clean your air, not like if your blower's on for 20 minutes every 2 hours. Like, all right, it's what does that really do?
Would you have a massive concentration of ozone building up within your unit in one spot just sitting there?
Well, no, you just keep the fan on all the time.
If the fan's not running, all the hydroxyl radicals will fill the whole duct, and then when it's turned on, there'll be a huge explosion.
Great. That sounds
like radical.
Super fun.
So that was one thing that I had. Again, the manufacturer's rep wasn't wrong in his idea. He wasn't saying I was wrong, but he just said, hey, you should probably hook it to G. But the reason why I didn't hook it to G was because I was thinking when we have a furnace call, it's not going to work essentially when we have a furnace call, which is fine. I mean, but in the Midwest where they run heat, you're basically not going to.
You could also hook it up in series with a current sensing relay on the neutral wire, or I guess you don't have a neutral wire, but is there multiple speeds that you're utilizing on the blower motor?
Yeah. Now I will say that in the situation that I had a VFD, I didn't show the video on the one that I had a VFD. I just went ahead and hooked it up to G because it was on a kitchen AC. In my area, the kitchen's never going to use the heater. So I was just like, whatever.
So I would say like residential, you could hook it up to EAC, right? Electronic air cleaner, the tap on the circuit board.
Yes.
That would probably be your best bet.
Yes.
I just don't understand the purpose of having it run sometimes when the blower's on. If the purpose of that thing is to clean the air, but you're only going to turn it on like once in a while when the blower comes on.
Well, let's think about it like this. Again, using the logic of these guys, this thing produces its voodoo magic, enough of that voodoo magic to clean 2,400 CFMs of air. Mm-hmm. So when you don't have 2,400 CFMs of air, it's producing that same amount of voodoo magic that's just going where?
Well, yeah, that's why my argument of continuously keeping the fan on.
But you can't continuously keep the fan on in a humid condition.
Right.
Here in California, we run the fan whenever the building's occupied. But you go to Florida, if you run the fan all the time, you're going to get nothing but service calls of complaints because of humidity. They only run the fan when it's cooling.
Like, no, I understand all that. I just don't understand, like, if you're going to say, like, let's clean the air, but let's only do it sometimes.
Yeah.
When it's time to turn the blower on.
How about we just bring in, again, so this is a California thing. Every unit in the state of California over 5 tons has to have an economizer and fresh air dampers, and you have to bring in so much fresh air. Mm-hmm. What happens is the fresh air dampers, the economizers require electronic sensors. The electronic sensors fail, and the customers never want to repair them. So if we just repair the electronic sensors or come up with a better sensing strategy and just bring in fresh air, why do the customer need to spend on average $1,500 to install one of these? We already have equipment that's capable of bringing in fresh air.
Maybe
that's my argument. Again, I don't know.
Maybe I might have missed this, Chris, and maybe Clive could touch on it. Do those units have like rectifiers in it? Is there DC in that unit? Is there any DC voltage? Is it producing DC voltage? Do we know that?
I'll tell you right now. Hold on.
Because I know, like, let's say let's go back to those electronic ones. They had rectifiers in them, I'm pretty sure, and they were producing huge DC voltage for those whatever static thingy chingus.
The electrostatic precipitators did rely on a super high voltage, a high DC voltage to actually do the job. So that would be AC going out either through a high frequency boost circuit with the rectifying,
so like a stepper transformer, step up, whatever.
Or in the case of the classic European ionizer, there's no transformer in them. It's just a capacitors and diodes to create a voltage multiplier. And it creates the whole point of operation is it is DC AC wouldn't have the same effect. Because if it charges the air to, say, a high negative voltage, and then it goes through the grounded plates, which are effectively positive, that's why all the dust sticks to them.
Right. And that's what I was wondering. Okay, cool.
So yeah, this little stepper motor is a 12-volt DC motor. So there is a DC circuit within this circuit board. Whether or not, I don't know if you just answered that, Clive. If this high voltage is DC being fed to this power supply, though?
I think it is 12 or about 12 volts DC.
Well, if the motor's 12 volt, more than likely they're going to be using that same transformer, which is right here on this right here.
Which is a switch mode power supply. Yep. So then it'll be regulating down for the microcontroller. There's a wee voltage regulator on that for the 5 volts.
Nice, Clive. Nice.
You
showed him like for 2 seconds, and he's like, bang, bang.
I'll just close this up. This is what a European ionizer looks like inside. It is just capacitors, 10 nanofarad capacitors, and one N4007 diodes.
What's a
nanofarad? Then a nanofarad, it's 1,000th of a microfarad.
Holy crap.
It's tiny. It's like they're not even as big as interference suppression capacitors. And the output of it, it's basically mains in at this end. The most power-hungry thing is the neon indicator in the front. Then it's this capacitive multiplier, which the voltage increases up to a few thousand volts, but it's very low current. And then at the very end, there's two 10 million ohm resistors in series, just so you can touch needles and not get a shock, just to limit the current. It's tiny amounts of current involved in charging the air with this electrostatic energy.
I think. Go ahead.
No, I just wondered if I completely went off track there.
No, that's awesome. That's
still thinking
I want to thank Laska HVAC for the super chat.
I did see that come through.
Also,
if I send you one of these, will you tear it apart?
Yes, I will.
All right, cool.
We'll
figure everything out after.
Tell them it's like junk for repair. Then it'll be free for the tariffs and all that.
Whatever, we'll figure it out. I'll figure all that stuff out.
Anyways, he had a question. Go ahead.
Customs declaration say £5 and call it something like air filter. Yeah, that's the best bet.
Last guy had a question. Are the bipolar ionizers cleaning the air or just modifying the air?
That's like a is the earth flat or round question. Like that's a mind explosion question right there.
Mind explosion.
They're modifying it because to me, I struggled with the to me, and I know an ionizer works, it does precipitate all the dust, viruses, bacteria, everything goes out to the walls. It does clean the air in a room electrostatically. The bipolar one, the positive and negative, it can't work the same way. As you showed there with the little the anemometer between the positive and negative, it is creating an electron short circuit. So then their theory is that it creates these water surrounded hydrogen atoms and these water surrounded oxygen atoms. It's possibly doing something, but that I have to say, I've had one of these in my house for a while running. Does it work? I don't know.
Yeah. That's the thing is how do we measure what these things are actually doing?
So I just hooked mine up today. All right. So I always have like 100 projects going at all times, and I never finish anything. Speaking of my furnace in the garage, I had an extension cord hooked to the power supply, just plugged into an outlet. And the way I quickly hooked this iWave R up was I cut the plug for my furnace.
Oh my God.
It up to this. But anyways,
I've got mine hooked up to Quick Connects, plugged into a receptacle. So
yeah. I forgot where I was going with that.
You guys are sad as me.
Yeah.
Terminal block asunder.
In a perfect world, let's envision. I want a lab like EEV blog has, right? I don't know the guy's name, but I want like legit lab with a setup to where I have circuit breakers and
That's what I was gonna say. So I was gonna test this in my house. I have 2 monitors. I have a spec particle, I guess it is, monitor, and I have the Foobot. I don't know how great they are. I have 2 of them. I actually got turned onto them by Corbett.
Right?
Yeah. That was a long time ago when we first started doing his tiny house thing. And I'm sure there's better ones now, but yeah, I was going to try it out. in my house and see.
So I'm still a skeptic. Again, though, because I mean, it took me a long time to even believe that the refrigeration process actually worked until I could really, really get my hands on it. I mean, my dad taught me about it forever, but until I could really get my hands and see how it worked. I'm a skeptic until it totally makes sense to me. And these things still don't make sense.
With refrigeration, you can prove that evaporation works by putting alcohol in your hand, and you feel it evaporate off and it gets colder.
Yes.
It's really hard to tell whether these things, these modules, are actually doing anything or not, because other than the ozone, which is something you can smell, there's nothing really obvious. And if you're using the particle counter, I don't think it's going to make any difference to the size of particles in the air. It's just going to, shall we say, interfere with them, but it's not going to make them smaller. It can't make them smaller.
Doesn't
it
it
split up into particles?
Well, all right. So I have like a PCO. I believe that's the PCO. It's the UV light with the honeycomb, whatever. You know, you were talking about it before. And I believe how the way that works is that like clumps the dust together, right? It like charges them and it brings them together and it falls on the ground. It makes everything not airborne anymore. Is that correct? Or am I incorrect?
To me, that'd be right now. So that wouldn't be the hydroxyl radical titanium dioxide, thing.
Okay, so that's the ionizer. So, but then how would that not affect the particle count in your air? The ionizer.
The ionizer, an ordinary ionizer, a DC voltage one will reduce the amount of particles in the air. That's a good thing. I should try that.
But a bipolar will not.
Bipolar, I doubt it. But there's only one way to find out, and that's to get that meter. Smoke in the room, and then leave it an hour and see what happens, and then put your unit in, your electrostatic generator there in the room, and then try it again and see what happens.
Or you could just pull one of those brushes out, right? And just leave it as a single pole ionizer.
A single pole, yeah. I wonder.
I got to give real quick though. I got to give Peter S. the comment of the day, because he put in there, if the Earth was flat, cats would have already pushed everything off the edge. Yeah. That made me laugh when I read that, dude. That's an awesome comment right there.
Oh,
sorry. Go ahead.
We should do a show about that too, by the way.
Yeah.
We should.
So I was just gonna say, there's a sorry, Bill, cut you off. There's a guy, I think Gamer or something was in chat. He was saying, SenseAware. They have those. I think they're modules or something, and they can measure, from what I hear, I guess ions in the air. I don't know. It's like a software module or whatever they have. I don't know what it's called.
So basically, this technology, we're just believing the manufacturer when they say, it'll work after so many minutes. It kills COVID-19.
How many of it's placebo? How many of it's you just trying to convince yourself that, oh my God, it doesn't smell like smoke in here anymore. You're right. Or I've noticed that my house, I've noticed that I don't smell my cats in my house anymore. Well, if you live in a house with cats, you don't smell them, stupid.
So what if these things really work so well, and I don't know, maybe they already use these, but wouldn't it make sense to blast these through like hospitals?
They do use them in hospitals.
They do everything in hospitals. They got UV light banks. They got every single air cleaner they could possibly have in hospitals.
Why do they still wear masks then? Why do people still get sick?
Yeah, I thought we weren't going to get into that. No,
that's their politics.
The other thing they're introducing into hospitals now, and I think they're using the medical staff as guinea pigs for this. They're using the super shortwave ultraviolet light, which is the 222 nanometer, and it's a special lamp made by Ushio in Japan. I think it's Japanese company, but it's a specialist lamp that is called an excimer lamp, and it involves it's a kind of capacitive. It's a sealed lamp, and it's got certain metals inside it, and you can tune the frequency it puts out. So it's putting out 222 nanometer wavelength ultraviolet, which is the sort of thing that it won't produce ozone, but it will kill bacteria. But it's supposed to be short enough that it doesn't penetrate human skin, and it's actually stopped by the what they call the tear layer in the eyes. So humans it's at the sweet spot that it will kill small bacteria, but it won't affect humans. But they're now using these in hospitals, and I can't help feeling that they're actually using the hospital staff as guinea pigs, all the doctors and nurses. for this, because to me it's not fully proven yet.
So with the air cleaners and stuff, I totally don't understand them. I totally know that there's probably science to them. I believe that they are doing something. The problem is it's really hard to measure it. So I'm still skeptical, but again, I call myself a knuckle buster. I could not. I mean, it's possible. I'm just not smart enough to understand them. But I leave this as I'm still skeptical. I don't know. What do you guys feel?
I kind of want to ask Clive. Clive, I want you to number in order how you would what would be your first pick for your house to your last pick. Okay.
My first pick would be a low-level ozone generator. Well, actually, the first pick would be opening the windows in the summer and letting air flow through the house, right?
Absolutely.
In the winter, the second pick is a very low-level ozone generator, but I do have standard DC ionizers. I have one of these running 24/7 in my bedroom, and I've got another one through here that I just leave them on all the time because they cost nothing to run, and yet you can see the effect they have. But now you're saying this, I've suddenly realized I've got a particle, air particulate, contaminant counter. I should test the ionizers. I should actually blow some smoke into those rooms and actually give them a test, do it with closed room, same day, with and without the ionizer on, and just see what happens there.
How are you going to measure? Go ahead.
I've always been a fan of ionizers. And the next thing is the low-level ozone generators. This one produces ozone, but you can actually vary the amount that will knob at the side. But it produces such a low level that you can only smell it if you go right up to the unit and actually sniff the outlet of the actual unit. And it's got a wee fan that blows air through. And what it's actually doing in there, this is a ceramic tube with a metal coating on the outside, and it's got a little stainless steel needle just touching the side. And by applying AC high voltage across that, it creates a tiny corona discharge. And that, it literally, a dot that you can barely see is creating enough ozone for a house. So I'm kind of keen on ozone. I'm changing.
So Clive, number 1, windows open. Number 2, low level ozone generator in the winter. Number 3, ionizer. And then where does UV light stand?
UV light is a bit tricky because ultimately the best effect of ultraviolet light, as far as I'm concerned, is ozone generation. And there's other ways to do that. But the other advantage of UVC light is that it does actually kill bacteria in the air. If you've got an air handling unit with the ultraviolet tube in it, as the air passes over it, anything that's exposed to that light will be damaged. You see the UVC water filters. So UVC has its place, but it's not the most efficient way to generate ozone. And I'm inclined to think that maybe ozone is one of the best things at very, very low levels, just to match what's happening outside in nature.
Okay. But if you could, based on your climate, you feel you'd rather bring in fresh air?
If in the summer, yes, but not winter, because this is an island. I'm in the middle of the Irish Sea here, and it's like the humidity is absolutely through the roof. And on one hand, I use dehumidifiers in the house, which if I opened the windows, the dehumidifiers would be running all the time and to no avail. But on the other hand, it makes me wonder, is the reason that mold forms in a wet environment because you've got an enclosed container? You don't see the same mold growing in the outside of buildings, do you?
No. And as soon as if you take something that is moldy and you put it outside in the sun, in the ozone, the mold virtually disappears, right? It's not going to continue to grow.
Maybe the problem is our hermetically sealed boxes we live in is actually a problem.
Maybe.
And it is the fact that, maybe outside air, even in winter, is a good thing if you can handle the coolness.
Well, or you could do ERV, right? Or HRV.
HRV, yeah. Well, it's cold here now, right? They want new houses to have HRVs, have that change per minute or hour, what do you want to call it, and that's it. They have to have them no matter what, because these boxes, like Clive said, are being offered to us as well. So,
right on. That's interesting. What about you, Bill? What, are you skeptical, or do you believe in these?
I'm completely skeptical of them for a multitude of different reasons. Like I said, I think they only work in a sealed environment when you, continuously circulate the air. And the application we're putting them in, I think there's just so many variables that they're working with. They don't really do anything to the point that they're rated. I don't think they do anything.
There is a point, though. You have to jump in the bandwagon. You have to say, yes, they're marvelous. You want these installed in your air conditioning systems. They're quite expensive, but they're totally worth it. Give me all your money and I'll put one in.
See, yeah, on that standpoint, but yeah, they do great.
Hey, we just got another super chat from C. I don't even know how do you say that name?
I don't know, but read what he says. Thank you. You didn't have to.
Thank you so much. He's a software engineer for a company that makes an instrument capable of studying the effect of ozone on viruses. I could provide some government studies.
Interesting.
It depends on what government you could provide it for. If it's like United States government, bullshit. Not looking.
Jesus.
Just saying, hey, you know,
it's the Canadian government.
Yeah, I'm not talking. It's not political because I would say if it's Republican, if it's Democrat, it's all bullshit, right?
It's the Canadian government, so you know. I mean, they like to play with moose. How do you say multiple moose? Mooses. They like mooses and maple syrup, and weird things happen. You don't. These videos that Joe sends us is it's insane, guys. Like what Joe has done to a moose is.
Yeah, we're like, hey, on Saturday, everyone's like, what are you guys doing? I'm raking my yard. Bill's painting his barn. Joe's like making videos of him riding a moose. He's like,
and I'm picking apples with my family.
Yeah, posing for next year's calendar.
Exactly. Well, guys,
I'd never even heard of moose fisting until now.
Yeah, Joe's a moose.
Did you say moose fisting? That's what I heard.
I was gonna say something, but I think we might be able to get away with moose fisting versus what I was about to say. So
that's gonna rile them right up. But I mean, if you think about it, a moose's ass is shoulder level to you. I mean, they're a big creature.
Oh, my head! I just go like this one time, bing, and I'm looking around, right? I'm looking around to see if he's okay.
Joe, you know too much about how to do that, dude. Like these. Oh, man, this is ridiculous, Joe. This has got to stop.
What were we talking about this whole time?
Oh no, we got to finish the Joe. What are your feelings on these air cleaners, man?
Jelly baby time.
I don't know. I'm one of those guys that have to. I don't know. I'm up in the air about it. You know, I'm willing. I don't know. I like fresh air.
I like fresh air too because I understand fresh air.
Yes.
So, what about you, Adam?
Yeah.
I am number one fresh air, but I think most houses, if you don't live in a brand new house that's super tight and sealed, I think bringing in fresh air. I'm not sure how that would work for you because a lot of houses are very leaky anyway.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
So, I don't know. Do I need I guess the only way to do that, we should get Nate Adams on and we should talk about air changes per hour and blower door tests and all that, right?
Yeah. That'd
be a good one too. I'm sure we can work that out. All right.
Yeah, it's been good.
My brain hurts,
I'd say we start to wrap this up unless anybody else has something to say.
I'm good.
It's been a good show. But this is much more work for my brain than the normal poop stories. I tell you that.
Oh
yeah.
There we go.
All right. So this one isn't as funny, but this is still kind of funny. So I was 15 years old, and I was walking home from school. I used to ride the bus home, and my bus dropped off about a quarter mile from my house. So I'd walk up this long street getting up to my house. And I remember getting off the bus, and I realized I had to take a shit. And so as I'm getting closer to home, I realized I don't have my keys. And my family's not home. And so I make it to my house, and I make it thinking maybe my mom left the back door open or something like that. No back door. So I'm like, okay, at this point, it's peaking. It's pushing out, you know. And it's like, yeah, it's really starting to crown. And
touching cloth, the turtle's head showing. Mm-hmm.
It's touching cloth for sure. So at this point, I had a choice to make. Do I shit my pants or do I take a shit somewhere in my yard? So I decided to take a shit somewhere in my yard. I found my little brother's sand bucket that he plays at the beach with.
Oh man.
Took a shit in my little brother's sand bucket. Now, if you can picture too, these are the sand buckets, kind of like those Fabergé Russian eggs that like all fit together.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's a whole set of buckets, right? All different colors and they all perfectly fit together. And my brother could never figure out why he was missing one of his buckets.
Hey, when you're done, did you flip it over and see if it made a sandcastle out of poop?
No, I didn't try to make
that would be pretty cool. Add some water to it, or
but I shit in the bucket and then threw the bucket away. Took my underwear off and waited till my mom got home.
Okay,
So
that's enough. I thought you were going to say when you were talking about the stacking buckets, I thought you did a shit in one and then put one of the other ones in the down and then put it back.
I'm not that twisted. I'm not.
No, that'll be the next story. How he pooped in one of those Play-Doh machines and made spaghetti out of it. Mm-hmm.
Oh man, nope. That's my story for today, and that's it.
Wow!